Hello YouTube chess lovers and my friends, this is Gunjan here. Welcome to my 61st episode of Dirty Chess Tricks. If you are looking for an antidote or aggressive system against Jobava London opening, then you come at the right place, as in this lecture, not only I am going to show you a mini Rapruta against it, but the line I have shown contain a lot of tricks so that if your opponent is not careful, then the game can be finished very quickly. The opening arises after the following move order: d4, and it doesn't matter whether you are knight to f6 or d5 player. Let's say in this game, black plays the move d5, and after knight to c3, which has a clear intention to play the move e4, black needs to stop it, and accordingly, knight to f6 is a fitting reply. Okay, here comes the starting point of Jobava London system with bishop to f4. And in recent times, this line becomes very popular thanks to the Grandmaster Jobava, Simon Williams and other Grandmasters who are walking on this line and given some great ideas from the white perspective. However, in such lines where white is relying on piece play and blocking his c-pawn are not good, and if you know your stuff very well, then you can definitely equalize just within the opening stage. Here black has many responses, but the move which I like most is e6. So black idea is very obvious. He wants to play bishop to b4, pin down this knight, and then later on commence the move c5. Well, as per the current theory, there are two popular choices by white, e3 and knight to b5. However, knight to b5 is going out of the fashion. The simple reason is after knight to a6 and then later on black can manage to play c6, which kick this knight back to the c3 square, and in all these lines black quickly get upper hand just within the opening stage. I have attached a model game in the PGN which will give you a very good idea how to handle knight to b5 of white. There is also a third popular choice, namely a3, which stops this bishop coming on b4, but still this is very slow play by white, and accordingly we can respond with a6, stopping any piece intrusion, and then no matter whatever white plays, black achieve this thematic break c5, and once this happen on the board, I think it is only black who is playing for the advantage. So considering all this aspect, by far the most popular choice is e3, which is in fact the main line of Jobava London system. Okay, no issues, we are going to play bishop to b4, pinning down this knight, and ready to deliver our first trick on the table. Well, bishop to d3 is the main move. However, there are more than 25 games in the database continue with a3, which I am afraid is not a good move, as after the following sequence, bishop captures c3, pawn captures c3, and now the move c5, black instantly get better position. Believe it or not, but white has the only good move in this position, namely knight to e2, which safeguards the c3 square. However, in that case, his bishop will be locked down. But more often than not, you will see people churn out this routine theoretical move, bishop to d3. But after that, queen to a5, and white is going to lose a pawn no matter however he wriggles. There are two ways white can defend the c3 pawn, and unfortunately, both of them fails. The first move, knight e2, is a very bad move, and this happens in many quick games. Yup, you guessed it, c4, and that poor bishop is just trapped down. So that trick you should always watch out when white continue with knight to e2. The more logical choice here is queen to d2, trying to defend this pawn. But again, we have the similar kind of approach available on the table with c4, first attacking the bishop, and once the bishop moves anywhere, let's say bishop to e2, our knight now leap in with knight to e4. And as I mentioned earlier, white can never save that poor c3 baby. Okay, so let's continue the main line with bishop to d3. Well, after that, my recommendation is you should start with c5. And again, this is a very tricky move which actually stops the movement of g knight to come out. Why? Well, obviously he can't come to e2, as after this we have the familiar trick. Yup, c4, and that poor bishop is trapped, so that's not a possibility. But you may ask, well, what about knight to f3? What is wrong with that? Well, the same story. Based on the spin, black can deliver this early tactics on the board with first c4, making this bishop very passive, and after that knight to e4, and yup, again the c3 problematic square for the white camp. So you can see how tricky this line is, and currently black has put the pressure on d4. So the big question arises, how can white neutralize this pressure? There is no other option but to give up the center, and that's why d capture c5 is only logical response in this position. After that, rather than routinely capturing this pawn, black should continue with knight b to d7 and trying to get knight on a wonderful c5 square. Now this is the third instant where white again need to be careful, as he has to continue with knight g to e2. However, in the database, there are more than 30 games continue with knight to f3, and the most surprising part is there is even 2600 plus rated opponent continue with this move, which I think is a great deal of inaccuracy. And the way to punish is you capture on c3, and when white recapture, now you get the pawn back with knight capture c5. And if you carefully look at this position, not only black has destroyed the white queen side completely and fractured this pawn structure, but on top of everything, black has a simple plan to execute, namely castle, b6, bishop to b7, and then once the rook arrives on the c file, the backward c pawn are going to feel the heat. And in fact, white is really struggling for any counterplay in this variation. There are furthermore problems if white continue to get rid of one of his weaknesses. For example, as per the database, the majority of the games continue with castle on the king side, and after weak castle, white tried to play the move c4, trying to liquidate his weakness. But still, this doesn't work out, as black can simply ignore this and continue with the plan as I have highlighted earlier with b6. The point is, after c captures d5, black has this very nice move, knight to d5, attacking the dark square bishop, and if black can manage to get the dark square bishop, then he's doing fantastically good because of his strong pawn structure. So no way white can give up this bishop, and bishop to g3 is one of the obvious choice. So at first sight it looks like, okay, white has some fracture pawn, but at least he has a bishop pair. But this is where the fun starts, guys, as after black's next reply, knight to c3, no matter wherever the white queen goes, let's say queen to e1, black can play the move knight to e4 and get the bishop pair and then work on this loose fractured pawn. Well, we have reached the third tricky position, and here if white thinks that he can preserve this bishop with bishop to h4 attacking our queen, but the matter of fact is black is immediately winning with this deciding tactical blow. Boom! If pawn takes d3, then queen captures d3 and black is coming out as a clear pawn advantage. So that's not good. And if white plays the move bishop captures d8, goes into this tactical jungle, then after the following variation, knight captures e1, bishop to e7 attacking the rook, but black has the intermediate move knight captures f3 check, and after g captures f3 and the move rook to e8, at the end of the whole sequence, not so surprisingly, black emerged with a clear piece advantage. So that means white has to be very careful and again has to play this accurate move knight g to e2 in order not to get fracture pawn on the queen side. And here you might think, okay, now we need to get back our pawn, right? Well, guess what? Nope. The fourth and a final high profile trick I want to show you in this line is black can play this very accurate move a6, which, believe it or not, but stop white to castle on the king side. Now, before we look at it, there are a few points I like to highlight here that if your opponent continue with a3, then you can obviously capture this pawn, and this position is better for the black. And the another move, bishop to g3, which is recommended in many books and videos, are not good at all for the white. Simple reason is, after knight to h5, again we have the same story where we are going to get this bishop and then take on c5, which gives black a slightly advantageous position. I have shown this line in the PGN with some detailed analysis, so you can definitely check it out. But the most important question is, which you are thinking from last few minutes, well, how the hell on earth, after playing a6, white cannot castle, right? Well, here is the point. If white foolishly castle here, then after the following sequence, e5, attacking the bishop, doesn't matter wherever the bishop goes. Finally, we can play the move e4, and now you see the point behind this cute move a6, as we can able to trap down this poor bishop. That's it, guys. I hope you enjoy and learn this wonderful high profile tricky line against Jobava London system. Remember, at this point, after the move e3, play the move bishop to b4, and as I have shown in the video, every point it is now white who has to play the precise moves, and even after they do that, the end results are completely favoring the black camp. Thank you for watching this video. Feel free to like, subscribe and comment, and I will meet you in my next episode very soon. Bye and take care.